2012 is when there was a defining point where I was told. I remember it was like in December of 2011, and Kim Moore was our asset manager for the building, and she was the only one that would come down on a regular basis about 2 times a year. And she's walking out the back door, and she said, if you don't do something with this building, ArtSpace is going to sell it. And I remember showing like architects, they would come in. It was Michael Gertner had brought a couple of interested parties by, and he would come in and they're like, okay, we can add this wall here, because if you have walls and you have bedrooms, then you can charge more rent. And so I knew it was going to happen, and Kim said that, and I was just like, okay, we're going to have an art walk, and we're going to do it, and I'm going to volunteer for fucking everything. And so I volunteered for anything I possibly could in the arts community.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Art is in Depth podcast. In the studio today, back again with Stephanie Bass. I'm going to introduce you first this time.
Hey, y'all. Hope it's all cool.
Isn't she wonderful? I want everyone to admire her with your ears.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. You got a really nice voice.
Thank you.
And then with us, our guest today is going to be Becky Major, Galveston Zone, of the National Hotel Artist Lofts of ArtSpace. She's a event coordinator and creative director of all events that is the National Hotel Artist Lofts. What's up, Becky?
Hey.
So we were just talking about kind of how you got started into the art scene, especially with ArtSpace. So how many years has it been now you've been with ArtSpace?
I have been with ArtSpace. I've lived in that building and been with them since 2008. Yeah, 17 days after Hurricane Ike. It was crazy.
So you started after Ike?
Yeah. Well, I worked here on the island, and the management company, real estate company that I worked for, had that was one of the properties that they managed. And so after the hurricane, I decided to move down here. I had lived in Santa Fe for 27 years, and it was just time for a change, and moved into the building to just pretty much clean the halls. But it was crazy when I got there, though, because it was 17 days after the storm, so the whole first floor was just completely gutted out. And you could see, when you look into where the Proletariat is now, you could just see at one point in time all the way through. It was crazy. Yeah.
Like all the way through the other side of the building?
Well, like to the back right there where 104 is, because they had to cut out the sheetrock. It was like 6 foot down from the ceiling, so there was about 8 foot or so that was just gone.
See, that's super cool you got to see it like that, because now, you got Pro, Quill Shop, Deli, like, you can see all these different spots, but you used to see it when it was just a straight hole.
Oh, yeah.
Because the water just moving through it, just takes everything with it, so...
Well, it was just everything. The water had sat there. So it was a Quiznos where it is now. And Roshan, who's at the Pro, used to work at the Quiznos. And it was the best Quiznos you'd ever gone to. It was like
really?
It felt like they made all the food with love. And they would get greeted when you came in. But after Hurricane Ike, the owner, they pretty much came in after the water receded, looked through some things, and then walked away from it and left the big meat cooler in there. So there was this meat cooler in there that was filled with meat that sat for a couple of weeks. And when somebody, for some reason, decided to open it up, then the smell that I don't think I could ever eat at a Quiznos again. It was just, it's kind of, we called it the SWO smell. It was sudden wolf of asshole after the storm, and you would smell it as you're walking down the streets, and it just got so frequent that you're like, oh, SWO.
Well, all the meats probably smells like a meat wagon, corpses.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
So I guess with ArtSpace, I guess you could tell the people a little bit about kind of what they're about and what they do, because I know, especially like with the Elder Street Artist Lofts, that's also ArtSpace. Just the fact that they take over old buildings and turn them into something great. I guess let everybody know like kind of what they're about, because that's what I really know about them, but I don't really.
Yeah, so ArtSpace is a really unique concept. The mission is to create, preserve, and foster affordable spaces for artists and arts organizations. And so what they'll typically do is they'll take a building in an endowment, and they'll take over the building. They'll use tax credits, historical tax credits, or grant money to renovate them. The Galveston project is one of 3 in the state of Texas. We have one in Houston, the Elder Street, and then we have one in El Paso as well. There's over 50 across the nation, and they do have some arts organizations that they work with in Minneapolis and across the nation. So Galveston was a little bit different of a project because we did not use tax credits to renovate them. We just used historical tax credits and grant money, and so we're not income based. A lot of them are income based. As you go through the projects. So it's a great concept for artists. What they do for artists is something that artists need. They have this opportunity to live in spaces, especially the ones that are income based, where they don't have to so much worry about the stresses of having to pay rents in downtown areas that are thriving for artist communities. And they'll also go into communities and the artist will make that grow, and it'll make it flourish, and it's a beautiful thing.
I talk about community a lot on the podcast, and I think one of the coolest things about the artist loft specifically, it's something I've noticed since my dad moved in there, because I didn't really know. Shout out to Visker if he listens. He listens to the podcast sometimes. He told me.
Right on.
I was like, oh, what? Because there's so many episodes now. I really don't expect everybody to listen to every single episode, but it's cool when people check it out.
You're supporting it.
Thank you. But I immediately saw like kind of the community y'all had established, just from going there to visit. When I lived in Houston and then lived in Austin, and I'd come down to Galveston to visit. Just being in like the elevator and seeing y'all's events or different stuff. But since I've moved here, the community has grown like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's very lively.
Yeah.
For everyone that doesn't know, Becky and Michael Mandina, they do the Isle of Misfits, Mardi Gras / Christmas / pretty much any parade or excuse to party you want to do bus.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, it's 2-story, but it's like 3 stories with the wheels. I mean, it's big up there.
It's a really great way to get around the island.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Yeah, that's so Michael Mandina is our master misfit, and he got that bus about 4 years
awesome,
ago.
man.
4 years ago, and chopped it up, and it's given, because Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras cruise, it's kind of an elite way to experience Mardi Gras. Oftentimes your membership fees are very expensive. Then you've got to buy the beach, you've got to do volunteer throughout the community, and just be involved, which is a great thing to do. But there's they expect these things, and so we wanted to have a crew. I got involved year before last, and we just really got organized. That's the year that we glittered the bus. In prior years, Adam Garrison one year painted up. It looked really great. He did some just real vibrant colors, and there was some neons, and Mandina wanted to get black lights and put on them, which would have been really awesome. But yeah, so last year or year before last, I guess, we glittered up the bus and really wanted to make it something that everybody could afford to do, that all of our friends could be a part of. We've got India Tigers that plays on it, and we make our dues very affordable and, try and make it to where everybody can do it. We're in the pursuit of creativity and community. This last year, a lot of the NHAL residents were part of glittering the top part of it, making unique gifts to give out. Alina made medallions, so we had our first medallion, which was really awesome. We had this whole glitter factory up on the 4th floor or 5th floor, and it was just this really great community thing of people coming together, and we did it all together, and we've got the Misfits Ball coming up, and a lot of the people that are part of NHAL that were part of really making Mardi Gras happen this past year, they're going to be part of doing the ball as well.
Yeah, and that's super cool. Y'all are taking that over. For those in Galveston are listening, if you've ever been to the Witches' Ball at the Scottish Rite Cathedral, it is now going to be the Misfits Ball.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you guys gonna do like a similar theme with that, like still Halloween theme, or y'all gonna what
Yeah,
y'all gonna do
yeah,
with that?
it's still gonna be Halloween theme. It's gonna be an experience. And the theme that we're going with this year, we thought about this a long time ago, long before Corona disease, anybody ever heard of that? And so it's post-apocalyptic. And so now we want it to be an experience. And there's a lot of local artists that are involved. We're gonna be creating a lot of the environment that you're going to be in. We want it to feel, we want there to be a story to go along with it. And then, of course, our costumes are going to be really rad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Like I've seen everyone's like kind of get up before they go to pro. Haven't actually been to the ball. I mean, since it's a first edition Misfits Ball, I mean, like Steph and I was like, Steph, we gotta go.
You got to go.
I mean, yeah, I'll dress up.
Yeah, I'll dress up too.
Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic would be cool. Do some like Mad Max stuff or something.
Yeah, yeah. So in past years, so Clyde and Kim Wood are who started the Witches Ball.
Oh, shout out to the Witchery.
Yeah, shout out Witchery. And so they started about 10 years ago, and throwing events like that, it's 300 people. You're in this beautiful old historic building. And there's a lot of moving parts that go along with that. And so they just decided they weren't really going to be doing it anymore, and so Kevin Thompson, shout out Kevin, him and I are the ones that Clyde were like, if y'all want to do this, you can, And so we were going to be working with the production guy who had done the production in the past years. And there was just some creative differences that were happening there. And he was from Austin as well. And so Clyde said that out of respect of them being the ones that started it and creating the legend that it has become, to go ahead and change the name. And so we decided to go with Misfits Ball because, it's kind of a hard thing. You have to have something that's a very general and neutral name. I was like, Blood Ball, Gore, like all these different Gore Gala, what do you call it?
The Misfits Ball is perfect because you guys already have an established name. That's the Isle of Misfits. And now you guys are building a dynasty because you have this Island of Misfits just as a group.
Yeah.
Doing the Christmas parades, and you're known for this bus and glitter everywhere.
Yeah.
But now there's like a ball.
Yeah, yeah.
But then Misfits is still Halloween-y enough to still be fun and sound kind of ruthless. It's like, oh, the Misfits Ball, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And rambunctious.
Well, and we like to costume. Like, that's the thing of being on the bus. Like, you got to put a costume on. There's a costume closet on the 5th floor of the NHAL. So if you don't have something, we can put you in something.
Honestly, it's the perfect organization to take it over. I think. I'm sure Clyde feels good about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we're bringing on for production Jeb Adame of US Backline. Shout out Jeb.
Shout out to Jeb.
And he's gonna be bringing some things that we ain't ever seen before. I am super stoked. He's got a dude that does projection mapping and is talking about having like 20 projectors up in this space and doing a lot of things that have not been done in this space. Like there's an orchestra pit that's up at the top. And it's kind of difficult to access because there's like a spiral staircase, but this space has never been utilized, and you can do so much with just, with this theme alone too. There's, and everything that we're going to have in the future, there's going to be so much you can do. But with this, he wants to project up into that space and put some mannequins up there that are dressed up. And we're also going to be carrying down in the past, they've always had the decor and everything goes in the ballroom, but you've also got the library open if you want to kind of get away and escape. And we're going to take some of that feel of what's upstairs to the downstairs, and the bus is going to be there too. After the 4th of July, we're going to be blacking out the bus, and it's going to be the cram bus for Christmas. But since the ball is in
cram bus, like Krampus,
dude, it's going to be so fun.
Dude, you guys with your names.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But for the ball, we want to have the bus out there. We want people because they're already dressing up. So one of the things that we'll be doing different, like with the costume contest, is putting a little bit more emphasis on costuming as the theme of the party, And so like the winner will get a larger cash prize, and also since they've got the best costume of the theme that we're going with, they'll get front deck on the bus during one of the long parades. So they'll be like right there on the front desk. Because the front deck right there, like, you got to be real costumed in there. It's especially, everybody sees you, You got to be like, have your shit on.
Mm-hmm. And because we did that one parade with you guys for Mardi Gras this year, and it was super funny because we rolled up thinking, for everybody that doesn't, we rolled up Steph and I, we rolled up thinking we had enough of a costume on, and then the first person we see is Becky, and everybody just decked out in these costumes. You're like, nope, you guys aren't costume enough. What are you doing? And so, but luckily, there is a fabulous costume closet at the top of the Artist Loft building.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually super. How did you guys come up on that again?
So, well, actually, okay. This will be an edit part right here. But can I go back to talking about NHAL? Because I think I kind of got a little distracted earlier.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the building, when I got to it in 2008, it was ran by a management company, and there was just occupancy and revenue. That was their main concern. And so there never was a real focus on the mission of what ArtSpace is. And since then, there's a true unity in the community now. Everybody works together. We do things. When we were trapped in there during Harvey, everybody was there. We were having dinner at somebody's house. We were having a costume party one night. We were just together. And that's a lot of what's happened too in the last, I'd say the last 5 years, we've gotten real tight, everybody working with everybody. You contact your neighbors, you hang out with your neighbors. The alley barbecues, we've been doing those for about 5 years now. We're having one tomorrow. It's always the Wednesday after Art Walk. And we just kind of pick a theme, and everybody brings something, and it's about community. It's about people that don't even live there. Loft Walk, that's another thing, is everybody that lives there during Loft Walk is either got their spaces open, which letting about 200 people come through your space, half of which you don't know, that's a big thing to do for somebody to do in their home, in their studio space. But everybody that lives there is a part of it, and other people like you and Steph too. Like there's just people that make it happen. The elevator musicians, they want to make it happen. Luis Morales, shout out Lewis. He's every year he's just been a part of it and really enjoys it, But it's in the last and this last couple of years too, with the crew and everybody just being involved in that. It's just this big group of creative people that do fun stuff, and it's awesome.
Dude, like everything you just said, there's so many T-shirts that could be made about ArtSpace. It's a bunch of friends that do fun stuff. Artist Lofts.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know what Loft Walk is, they should definitely come out to Loft Walk. It happens every year, and it's amazing. You get to see the space. You get to walk. I mean, of course, you don't walk through every single one, but you actually get a good taste of what everybody does, and you can see the art community, and because it's a fantastic building.
Yeah. The building alone. So, do you want me to give my history spiel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. No, let's do all that.
Okay. So from 1870 to 1895, it was the site of the first opera house in Texas, the Tremont Opera House. It had been badly damaged by a fire, and so in 1896, the current building was built. There's these cast iron columns that are all along the first floor, and those are all original from when it was the Opera House. And the bar that's at the bottom of the Tremont Hotel is the bar that was once in the basement of our building as well. So in 1896, the building that's standing now, the E.S. Levy building, was built, and it was on the first floor was a boys and men's department store. And what it's most historically known for is the Isaac Klein U.S. Weather Bureau station. And so that was like on the third floor of the building. But we've also had Turkish bathhouses. There was the consulate of Nicaragua and Cuba. Elvis was in the building at one point in time. Well, we just kind of go with it. So there's a carving in one of the windowsills, and it says Elvis 54. And so I did some research, and Elvis was on the Gulf Coast in 54, 55. And so just that it's a really deep carving, and it's a limestone windowsill. And so Yanni, who I used to do restoration and conservation with, he came over and did like a complete analysis and said that limestone carving, that could be it. And so the building, it's called the National Hotel Artist Lofts, and that comes from the National Hotel Company that the Moody's had in the late 40s to early 60s, and that's where the offices and everything like that was for it. Well, it was Shern Moody, who is the Shern Moody Plaza, the Railroad Museum building, that really pretty one at the end of the Strand. He was the Moody that had it, and the man was super cool. He had a slide from his bedroom to his swimming pool, apparently had penguins. He's part of like the Moody Gardens, getting that all started and everything. So if Elvis was going to be hanging out with anybody, then it would have been Shern Moody. So we just go with the king was in the building at one point in time.
I mean, there's totally that Elvis picture
in
the stairway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing's fresh though. Is that an original or is that like a print?
Oh, that's just a print. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That thing's fresh.
Yeah, we got to have Elvis in the family photo album, you know?
Right. Ooh, let's actually give a full shout out to Pro because I shout out Proletariat on here all the time.
Yeah, thanks.
Like all the time because we do the Coastal Soul Poetry Night podcast on here. And we're trying to get more of them now. Tarina is actually spearheading the Coastal Soul now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to get possibly, and everybody tune in for these, but we're going to do like a specific Artists in Depth presents Coastal Soul Poetry podcast, and I'm going to do like a different color render of the art.
Nice.
A cover art and stuff. It'll be on the same feed, so it'll come up, but I'm going to start it off at number 1.
Okay. Yeah.
So it shows up,
Right
just has
on.
its own feed.
Yeah, Tarina's so great. I saw her today. We had an arts commission meeting, or a cultural arts commission meeting, and she was there. And it's just everything that she does in the community, and just really, taking the reins with Coast to Soul, because it is important to people. I had no idea when it began how many people in Galveston needed poetry, and how supportive the poetry community is too. Having Right About Now that always comes down. And it's, mad respect to people that can formulate words that make sense. Like I sometimes just ramble all the time, and it's these beautiful words that get spoken that just really speak to your soul. And it's just like, I had no idea how much of an impact that was going to have. And it's just been a great thing. And all the poets, Zach, Emily, everybody that's been a part of that has just been really amazing. And all the features that have come down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's they and their scene is a really big part of this podcast because a majority of the episodes have been poetry episodes. But what I really like about talking to them is a lot of the poets, they have a real interesting view on the world and their own interpretation of things, like in an artistic way. And since they're artists that use their words and use their speech, like talking to them is really cool experience.
Yeah.
Just because, they put what they've been through into their art or things they need to get out, things to express. And those are, in my opinion, some of the most inspirational episodes.
Yeah.
And then we always get a poet to do a poem of theirs on here. We had a fun episode. Jonathan Brown, he was I don't know if you saw Jonathan Brown. He's like a rapper and poet, but like he left a vinyl here for Steph and I. Like we got a vinyl and some CDs and a patch, and he was really cool. He's real talented. He did and everyone needs to go buy his vinyl if you want to hear it. Or I guess you can hear it on here, but we're the only place besides the vinyl. He did like an intro like rap poem that he does in the beginning, but it's only on the vinyl.
Oh, right on, and here.
Yeah, and here. Yeah, he's a super cool guy. But I guess with Proletariat, since we kind of went over it a little bit before we started, but what can you say for the viewers that, I've talked about Proletariat a little bit, but how would you explain it in your words?
Gosh. So from the very beginning.
Yeah, because you saw the space. We were talking about, I have a poster in my room for the first time I ever was involved in anything in that space. It was just gutted. Yeah. I remember it was like Blood on the Strand and To Whom It May and Galaxy Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sheila Swift, did she do it?
Yeah, Sheila's done it. Yeah.
And Evac, Matt Mahea.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we did the Giacomo Stomp one time, and that was during Mardi Gras. And so it was 9 bands in 8 hours. We had 100 pounds of crawfish. We had Mardi Gras themed art. We had made Mardi Gras beads. At this point in time in the journey of the proletariat, we had a liquor rep that was just maybe I shouldn't say that. Won't say his name, but he used to just give us liquor. It was Fireball, Buffalo Trace, and then some sort of moonshine, but it was all under, Fireball stuff.
Yeah.
And he would give us that. We would buy like a keg or just a bunch of Lone Star, and we would give the alcohol away for free because we didn't have a license. So we would give the alcohol away for free, and we would just give the donations to the bands that were performing. And so that's how we did it for a long time. Well, for that one, we also made 2,500 Jello shots. And one of my shining moments in life is, so To Whom It May is playing. Shout out To Whom It May, amazing heavy metal band. So they're playing, and I'm in there with the president of ArtSpace and someone else that I highly respect here on this island, and we're doing a Jello shot listening to Whom It May in the space. And it was just like one of those shining moments of life where I was like, yes, this is awesome. But proletariat, so after Hurricane Ike, there was a restaurant that was going to go in, and for 3 years they paid rent, and they put this ventilation system in that went up to the 5th floor that was a huge pain in the ass. It's still there because it's just going to be that equally of a pain of an ass to remove it.
Yeah.
So they came in, did that, never pulled electric, never pulled plumbing, and then ended up walking away from it. And so it was at that time that I asked ArtSpace if we could use the space as a pop-up art gallery. So there was no power, there was no running water, and we didn't really know what we were doing. And so we had a rock and roll rummage sale, and this was in 2012, which we just had another one. And I didn't have this epiphany until I was walking to Bob's to get some ice or something, and I was like, oh my God, we did that rock and roll rummage sale. And that was to make money so that we could buy paper for walls and such things like that, and to really get the space going. So we took everything that was random in the building and just brought it down into the space. Some of the artists, because there were artists, Elizabeth Punchess lived there at that time, Maria Miller, and people just donated things so that we could, because this was what we were going to do.
Yeah.
For the longest time, there was just brown paper in the windows there. And when ArtSpace said okay, before we did the sale or anything, I had given all the artists or people that were creative and wanted to the paper. I cut the paper out to fit the windows exactly, so I could just be like, here, draw on this paper. You don't have to worry about cutting anything out or anything like that. Here's a roll of paper. And so they did. And Gabe actually did one too, because he was really good friends with Maria. And I actually still have those. Those are hanging in the backpack for the proletariat. If you go in there, you'll see some brown paper, and there's a few of them that are still hanging up in there. And that's where I have all the like flyers for when it was just the gallery.
In the stock room?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw that green one with the planets, it looks like. That one's real cool.
Yeah. So anyways, so put those up, had the rummage sale, and the first one we were ever going to do in there, we got yardsticks, and we took clamp lights and put them on and shined them at the walls, and then just wrapped the cords around them. We used shower curtains for the very first one, which was July 21st, 2012. And the shower curtains were a horrible idea because you could only use them once, because once you screwed something into the stud, because it was just studs. So it was so much easier to hang shows then. It might not have looked the best, but all you had was to hang them on a stud, And after that one was when we discovered brown paper, and there used to be in between those two columns in the proletariat, there used to be where the kitchen was going to be. So it was like there was a big wall that went there, and you could step back, and they had put in a ventilation system. It was a huge ventilation system that was going to go in. And so, and then we just started having shows after that. And then it's when I met Visker and Julie, and the shows just started getting better and better. Our last one in there, well, we had so many great ones. We really did. For having no resources of like electricity and water, there was some really cool stuff that happened in there.
Oh, yeah.
The unshow, that was a really fun one. So for the unshow, we took a bunch of black lights. Joe Bonomo had a bunch of fluorescent black lights. And so we hung all those up, and that was the only lighting that was in there. I had taken just paper and folded it over and made frames, and we put poster board in the center of it and gave everybody highlighters, and so everybody could just draw all over the place. There was no artwork up. It was just come be an artist with us. I believe it was in July of 2014 is when we did that show, or not July, January, because it was like come be an artist with us in 2014, and we didn't have any artwork up. You were the ones creating the artwork. But we had glowing drinks. There was glowing bubbles. There was like everything was glowing. It was so fun. And then the Giacomo Stomp, that was a really fun one. And then towards the end, so Visker did this kick-ass, just the walls were the installation. It was that show right there. It was for that show. What was that? April 26th? It would have been
2014.
2014, yeah.
2014.
So he took paper, black and white rolls of paper, and he did them diagonally on the wall, on that main back wall where the proletariat
Yeah, because I actually had some art hanging up there.
Yeah. And then he would like change the angle, and so it looked like this kind of like visual illusion. It was a really great show. There's a picture of us because, like I said, we would just give alcohol away and then use the money to pay the bands. So there's a picture of us, and we've just got this big pile of money on the floor, and he's like, looks like he's like schooling me in something because he's got his finger out and he's pointing, and I'm looking like I'm like just learning or something.
Like it was a totally memeable picture.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so it was in 2015, we put together a business plan and presented it to ArtSpace, and we sold. There was a cooler, there was a walk-in cooler in there, and then there was the ventilation system, and we sold that, and then just started construction, and that was crazy. It didn't even seem real because we'd been doing it for so long in there, and it was like, okay, it's really happening, and I pretty much was there whenever the construction. I was the contact person because ArtSpace was a huge supporter and investor pretty much in making the proletariat happen. I mean, they paid to pull the electrical, pull the plumbing, the sheetrock. I remember when the sheetrockers are in there, they probably thought I was crazy because I was just standing in a corner crying. And like, because the sheetrock, they would just like throw it up on the walls, and it was becoming real at that time. And then May 28th is when we officially opened. And I remember Julie, she was sitting in there because we didn't know if that AC system was going to crank on, and that's $12,000 there. They've already dropped a lot of money into this thing, and it was kind of like, oh my god, are we gonna have to not have AC? We can't not have AC because it's May, it's gonna get hot, but are we gonna have to unass that money? And it's like, we've already put a lot into it too, and so but I remember it cranking on and Julie calling and being so excited. So we just all ran over. Yeah, it works. And then it worked for about 3 more years until it just gave out, and then we had to fix it.
I remember when it gave out, and nowadays when it comes on, it sounds like a death machine.
It's like a beast. Yeah. It's kind of it's a larger one than it actually needs. The space needs. We had to add more vents in because it was just pulling, sucking so much.
I remember because they were bringing out the crane to put it on top. It was epic.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, the Proletariat's become a pretty popular space for the art walk that happens every 6 weeks. So how long? So were you ever involved in like art walk related things before, like the Proletariat? Like, have you been like with other galleries or?
I've never been with other gallery. It's just always been doing stuff there, at the building. Before it was even the Proletariat, we would have the shows. I mean, before it was the Proletariat, we did that for 2.5 years. We had cords that were dropped down from the second floor. We had cords going into the hallway. If anybody really had to use the bathroom, they would just use my space. And we would have shows every 6 weeks, and then sometimes in between, regardless of what the weather was.
So how did Art Walk begin? Has that been going on for like a long time?
Oh, yeah. The Galveston Art Center's the one that puts it on, and has since the beginning. It's been going on over 25 years.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's been going on. It's been a mainstay in Galveston for quite some time. And it's really a great thing. It's how the galleries will and how we rotate our artwork out. And it's good for the galleries. It gets people out. People enjoy coming out. A lot of locals come out. People come out from all over the place. We're getting into summertime. This last one was really good. It's springtime. Everybody's wanting to get out, walk around, and it's really great. We've got you coming up this year, which is exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
10, 10, 20.
10, 10, 20. I still have to figure out, man, that's really not that far away.
It's really not that far away.
It's really not that far away.
So I kind of have had a vision when I was coming across the causeway the other day, what I think would be really cool. Okay, so the display case, all about the podcast, have something up that's about the, because you have many artistic abilities that you do, you're a musician, you're in a band that has shows, you've got this podcast. You're a visual artist. You have many different canvases that you choose to go from. I really want to do something with the shoes. I want to do something with the shoes.
I'll also do these like sculptures too. I mean, not like a sculpture, and I got like collages, and I do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, Brandon and I were planning on doing some collabs.
Nice.
Soon, because man, his collages are like crazy good.
Dude, he's doing the flyer for the Misfits Ball.
Oh, tight.
And I'm super stoked. So he's doing the flyer. Local artist Allie Gross is doing did the logo font. She's a badass. Anybody needs a dope logo, Allie can hook you up. She also draws really pretty hair.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. But Brandon's doing the flyer, and I'm super stoked. It was, I've bought artwork from many different artists, but I had never had that opportunity to really commission a piece that it was like, I want these things in it, but let's work together as a solid vision. Because Brandon's pretty awesome. I mean, his collage work that he has, and he has a lot of great materials to go from too.
Well, just like his collection of the magazines it gets from school, and then for anybody that hasn't listened yet, that's episode number 4 and episode 43, both with Brandon Walker, Moonwalker collage. The past one we did, 43, was about his apocalypse themed ones. That was a really good episode. We definitely got into some shit in that episode. Because Brandon and I both can go down like conspiracy rabbit holes like crazy. So we were just like digging, but it was really cool because we took a video of it. I'll have visuals for that episode.
Oh, cool.
So
cool.
He's gonna edit them together. But I got like some pencil works. I got some because I have a lot of stuff, and I'll actually show you here whenever we go offline here. I'll show you some stuff I got.
Sweet.
I just got to frame everything up. I was thinking about hitting some thrift stores and just looting some old pictures and taking them out and putting them in. There's actually some frames I'm trying to buy from Old Moon Deli that we've had in the closet for like over a year.
Oh yeah, some of those old ones, those are really cool. Those big thick ones.
Yeah, the big. Well, there's a really big ornate like wooden one that's like covered in cobwebs and dust, and I love it. I love that it's dirty.
Yeah.
I want to put one of the pencil works. I have this pencil work I did that's like it's like a Virgin Mary Madonna. It's like the face with the sun. Behind, but it's like one of my favorite ones I did from last semester in art class. But I want to put it in that because the picture itself looks old and it has the original glass that goes over it, and it's kind of dusty, but it just looks like a real old like rustic piece. I'm not sure. So what do you think? What's your favorite show been at the Proletariat? Or in the building, or
at least, what are your top 5 so far?
Top 5.
Okay, top 5. My top 5 includes also sentimental to it as well.
And they don't have to be in order at all. There's no order.
I will say the one that we have up right now, Shafali Sani, she's an epidemiologist at UTMB and the head of her department, an amazing artist. Her body of work, every show has meaning and has symbolism to the artist. People connect with it. this one is such an intimate journey through this person's life, you know, of where she's gotten to where she is today, which is a real challenging place to be with the current battles that the world is facing, you know. I mean, epidemiology is the study of infectious diseases, and she's like hands-on in that, and she works at Shriners, and she's spent the last year creating this body of work because that's how she copes with some of her struggles and the depressions that come along with being in the medical field.
Oh yeah.
So Shafali's show, Shafali and I have been talking for a year and just kind of talking how her vision and everything like that. And then Sarah Marks, who's a local UTMB student, reached out about 3 months ago about a project that she's wanting to do. It's the Student Heart Project, and the event is called School Gives Me Anxiety, and it's talking about depression rates and the mental health field and what they go through, you know, and that there is depression, there is suicide rates, there's tough love because the physicians before that have gone through the same thing. But we communicate a lot more in this day and age, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's a way to help other people. So maybe those suicide rates aren't as high as they are, you know, and just letting people know that there's help out there for them. And so Sarah had this whole vision for that, and then really that's kind of what Shafali's show is about as well. So it's just a great connection to have, and for the two of them to meet up as well, you know.
Yeah.
So your original question was top 5. Okay. But well, this one, yeah. I'm really honored to have this show in there and for the artist to have created it for the space, you know. So I'm just going down the lines of the last few shows we've had. Everyone I'm going to say is my favorite. Yvisker always used to say, everyone is your favorite, Becky. But
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys curate some badass shows. I mean, like there's like that's also why like there's a degree of nervousness whenever I'm thinking about it. 'Cause I'm like, man, there's been some super dope shows in there.
There's been some. I mean, it's
like I think one like. I'm not to interrupt your list. I'll only throw in once, but man, that show by Reese, the Blood and Ash show, was crazy.
Reese Carnley. So Reese used to live in the building many moons ago. So he lived in the building before we ever even started doing things in the first floor. And super cool dude. It was when I had first gotten to the building, and his mom used to live there, and then he moved in. And back when it was just the gallery, it was an October show, just like his was. It was the October month. He had a show in there. This show, it was, I think it was October of 2013, and I put black tarp up all over the walls, right? Mm-hmm. And Reese's work was in there. It was really powerful. It was when he first started working with the Blood at that point in time. And just to see his work a couple of years ago, where he's really come and really refined his technique and everything like that. I love seeing artists do that. Megan Gladden, our the glitter artist.
Yeah.
So she had a show in there in January of 2016, and just to see where she's come from that time.
Oh yeah,
and,
she did the Disney villains, right?
Oh yeah. But all the beadwork that she's really started incorporating into it, and those are tiny little beads that she's putting on individually. There's like, no joke, probably there was over 1 million beads in that show. There's just, because there's so many of them, and they're so intricate. She's one of my favorite too. She's kind of started the glitter obsession, and now, you know, Mandine and I have a bust that's covered in 40 pounds of gold glitter. So
40 pounds.
40 pounds, yeah.
That's an ungodly amount of glitter.
I have eaten so much glitter in the last 3 years, I would say. It's like it's all over. I have a glitter room in the building, so yeah,
that is hilarious. So what would be, I guess after Shapali's, what would be one for you that stood out?
I would say, you know, having Trisha Thompson Adams back, she did the Floral Anatomy back in 2018. While those majority of those pieces were prints, it was a body of work that when her and Micah lived there, because they had lived there when it was just the gallery space, and they were part of the reason why it has become what it is. And so the name Proletariat, that name comes from when it was just before we cleaned it up and started using it as a pop-up art gallery. There was still sweet and low packets squished against the wall. There was like mildew and mold everywhere. It hadn't been really swept good since Hurricane Ike, after they like used the the fire hoses to hose all the mud and stuff out. It had never been really cleaned. And so the common people and working class that lived upstairs came down together to create a space for the community to use. And so we felt that the name proletariat was very fitting for that, because it was the people that live upstairs that helped create that space, you know? And the proletariat would be something totally different if it was anywhere else, because you wouldn't have these creative minds that live upstairs from that. You know, you've got 24 residential / studio spaces of people that come downstairs. We call it our living room, and it's where we can argue about the color orange, or, you know, have so many great brainstorming sessions, and things come to fruition from those brainstorming sessions. And it's a really great thing.
And the bar's come a long way too. I mean, like, just the I saw an old picture the other day that my dad was showing me. He was sitting at the bar, and like I came over from the deli, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "You even recognize that place?" And it was like when Sam was still working there.
Yeah.
And it was just like real basic,
Yeah.
like regular shelf, only a couple bottles on top.
It was a baby bar. It had like, it was little brackets, little decorative brackets from Home Depot in the shelves, and yeah.
And then now it's like big professional looking. You know, you got the 2 tap screens and all the wood.
Yeah.
You know, like that's definitely something I read in the comments. You know, like people saying about the wood.
Yeah. Oh, the wood. So Julie found the bar. So the bar is 1920s rail car planks. And so she found them on Craigslist. And it was, I don't know what the title it was, but we had to go to the north side of Houston, and it was at this storage warehouse. And it was like, oh, this is going to be bad, you know, but we go, and it was just wood porn. It was absolutely beautiful. And Julie's the one that cut those too, because there's that column that goes around, and she just wanted us to, you have one cut. You can't fuck those up. Yeah, you can't mess them up. We've still got one plank left for like something good. Maybe another bar or something on the other side.
Ooh, actually, you know, speaking of wood bars, this would be something cool to bring about the Artist Loft building. So the old speakeasy that was in the storage room, it's like filled up with sand. What kind of history could you tell people on that thing?
It's where the dead bodies are buried.
What?
No, I'm just joking.
That's super badass.
No, so it's underneath the stairs. So the main stairs is the original staircase that's there. It goes up around the old elevator shaft to the 5th floor. Underneath there's just sand that's right there, and that's where the old staircase was that had gone under to the basement there. And there used to be a bar down there, and that's the bar that's in the Tremont Opera House, is the bar that was in the basement of our building there.
And there's a little plaque that gives you a little history on it, right, over there at the Tremont.
Yeah. Yep.
That thing is super cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's crazy to go sit at that bar and just be like, that was in our building at one time.
Yeah, and just moved out, because whenever I was helping out over at Pro a lot, I would always think about that. I think every time I'd go to the stock room to get restock, I would just I like stepping on the sand and just being like, man, between the sand and my feet is like something super cool, where people, it was a space people used to use.
Yeah.
It was something that had especially knocking off the sand, and you can see the first step right there. It's super cool.
Yeah.
It's the only one you'll be able to see.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
It is. That whole building, I know you're not supposed to get attached to material things, but I love that building so much. Just everything in it. So much of my life has changed in those walls, you know, and so many really kick-ass things have been done there. Just fun stuff, the music video with To Whom It May,
Which was super awesome, by the way.
That was
Everybody
fun.
needs to go see that. It's the I Don't Want to Be Me. What is that cover? To Whom It May, covering
Typo Negative.
Yeah. It was and also go watch the original Typo Negative song too, because it was done so well.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Yeah.
And both music videos are awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have them on my YouTube playlist. I have them synced up back to back.
Nice.
Because it's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to whom it may, I'm having those guys on soon. We had Dexus on for the drummers of Galveston.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
For anyone that hasn't heard that, I think it's episode 42. It's the longest episode. It has the record. It's 2 hours and 23 minutes.
Wow.
Well, because half of it, we talk about we all go through, how we started drumming, but then we go in. But then the second half is like us actually like playing stuff.
Oh,
like
nice.
Rudiments on drum pads. You can hear all the taps and stuff. Because like if drummers want to listen, everyone kind of has these different rudiments we grew up listening to and whatever. But the main reason why I wanted to make the podcast though is because this community down here, which is like community is a big part of the show that I always talk about because I think it's essential for. I think having a good community is essential for excelling as an artist.
Oh yeah.
And staying confident about your stuff because something we try to battle here on the show is like the being your own biggest critic as an artist. Mm-hmm. And I think why most of the things, I mean, pretty much everything I see you guys try to attempt to do at the building is pretty successful. Even if a goal's not reached, it's successful because everyone participates.
Oh, yeah. And that's, Galveston's so unique. Everybody supports everybody, and that's, a strong community. People do that. And it's so many times you're in a room and you're talking about, you're praising somebody that's not there. And it's just, everybody praises everybody. Everybody sees everybody's talent. There's so many talented people on this island, and we work together, you know? I mean, doing the El Lago video, that was insane, just crunching there was a 16-hour day, but everybody was just helping everybody and making it happen. And even with the premiere too, the Scottish Rite letting us have the after party there as well because it got rained out to do it in the alleyway, and it was just people seeing things and making them successful as a whole is just a really great thing. And the city right now, it's a really great time. It's always been a good time to be in Galveston, but it's a great time right now because the city is really supporting the arts. And there's people that are coming here. You've got your weekenders that have houses down here are deciding that they want to stay here. They want to just make that drive to Houston now. And just having the city support the arts it makes the art grow. I've been on the Cultural Arts Commission for the past 7 years, and we're the advocate voice of Art to City Council. Yeah. And for the first time in its existence, we have a budget. And we just had 2 commissions that merged together, and it was a really just weird time to get the budget. So instead of just rushing it, we're going to wait, and that budget's going to carry over. So next year we're going to have $100,000, that we'll be able to use to do incubator grants with. So it is a connection with the city. The city's giving artists funding to be able to do anything, and it's all arts. And that's what we're all about, is supporting all the arts, supporting the written arts, supporting musicians, supporting visual, sculptural, all of it. Pretty much what's going to end up happening is there's going to be an application. Say you want to do a one-night thing. Say maybe you can figure out it's anything in the public sphere. So the podcast. So if you had something special you wanted to do with the podcast, maybe you wanted to take it somewhere, or I don't know. There's so many. It's creative, limitless of just whatever project you want to do. And putting together a great proposal for that includes a budget that is something in the public sphere that engages the public, then there's the opportunity to do that. And I think that's cities grow that way. You get arts. It's still kind of Wild West down in here in Galveston.
I hear that all the time, actually.
Yeah. There's still so much that can be done. There's murals that can be in places. There's venues that are not even being considered that could be venues.
Man, I really wish somebody would do something with the martini.
Oh, yes.
Actually, I do believe that Mr. Martini, the current owner of the Martini Theater, he's been trying to turn it into a music hall for local artists. It's the permits from the city that is holding it back right now. Oh. He used to come to one of the places I work all the time, and he would always talk about it over coffee. So.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Letting you know my source.
That's a hell of a name, Mr. Martini. Yeah. That guy sounds fresh.
Yeah. So one of the decorations for the Misfits Ball that we want to do is we're going to be using a lot of foam core. And so one of them is going to be like this area of like signs that we've collected throughout the apocalypse, you know? And one of them we want to do, this was Allie Gross's idea, shout out Allie, is the Martini Theater, but take out the M, leave the ART, take out an I, and then leave the NI. So it'll be like Art NI, but it'll be recognizable to any local that was the Martini Theater. Yeah, yeah. It's going to be cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that building is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, but I do like, though, that there are businesses expanding out, making the downtown, like, longer. You know, over there by DTO and Maceo's, you know, there's more of those old buildings being taken over and turned into businesses.
And also new businesses that are trying to do that as well. It's awesome that it's a two-part thing, to people coming in and then people also being here and trying to extend as well.
Yeah. It's a very growing and thriving community, and I'd definitely recommend everybody to come check out Galveston. I like the downtown scene a bit better than the seawall scene. Seawall scene's real touristy.
Yeah.
I mean, downtown's got its stuff too, but if you really come down for an art walk, especially live in Houston, it's a really fun time. You get to see all the galleries open up. You get to, if you come early enough, you get to snag some free cookies and free wine. Mm-hmm. There's free stuff everywhere. Right now with germs going on, I don't know if you want to do that. But, you know.
Wash your hands, y'all.
Just wash your hands. It's there, though.
Yeah.
Antibacterial soap.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I went on the search for that yesterday.
Bro,
Yeah.
it's like hand sanitizer, toilet paper, and soap.
I don't understand the toilet paper.
And apparently also deodorant.
And deodorant too?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard that's getting hard to find too. People are stocking up, like they're going to be told to stay in their houses for 2 weeks.
I mean, I could go, really, deodorant? Like, it's not like you're going to be running. But the hand sanitizer, we have that germ box, the up-down machine, the elevator. And it's just like,
God.
I went to Arlen's because I'd gone to 4 different stores and couldn't find alcohol either. Because I was like, okay, we've got aloe in the alleyway. I'll just like make some stuff or whatever. And then I went to Arlen's because I couldn't find any, and went to Arlen's, and they had just put a box of it out. So I left some for other people, but I got 4 bottles.
Well, that was courteous.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't know. Because that's the thing, especially because you're in the realm of planning events and throwing organizations and stuff, you know, like with everything going on. I know, like, it makes people weary to go to things. You know, like Austin canceled South by Southwest.
Yeah.
A lot of my musician friends are devastated.
Yeah.
And artist friends. I mean, South by Southwest is huge.
They count on that every year, like, and people from all over the nation come to that.
It's like almost guaranteed exposure because everyone runs around because like there's like so many free shows, and even the shows you got to pay to get in aren't that expensive.
Yeah, and it's more of a way to think about it would be that if something happened, they would be seen as responsible for not doing something preventative in the first place.
Yeah.
So honestly, as much as people are complaining due to the inconvenience of it, it's more so of a way just like kind of take it seriously just a bit. Wash your hands. Maybe don't go to crowded places. Be careful. I mean, don't take it lightly, but don't freak out.
No, it's real.
I don't know. It's weird. There was SARS at the last election. There is that whole thing of like conspiracy. Does this happen at every election? Is this a real thing? I mean, but it looks like it's.
Well, it's weird. It's like every 2 years on the dot, there's something.
Yeah.
Like it was what they were showing. It was like swine flu, then Ebola, then Zika, then there's just like bam, 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 which is always something.
Yeah.
But you know, like the thing is if you're going to. I think if everybody stays clean and stays cool, you don't have to necessarily cancel it all too many events. I mean, big events like South by, I get that.
Yeah.
You know, like Austin, that was a town built for 500,000 people, now has almost 3 million people in it. Mm-hmm. And whenever South by Southwest happens, it like almost triples the amount of people that are there.
Yeah.
Like it's a worldwide event at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, dude, rappers fly in from Europe and shit to come play in Austin to get exposure.
Damn.
Like, it's crazy. But I guess, what could you tell the listeners? This is something I ask everybody. I think I asked you this on the other one.
Oh.
So maybe someone that wants to become an event coordinator or creative director, or want to get into an arts field where, you know, they can be kind of just someone that creates a space, like someone that can create an organization, what could you tell them to, I guess, stay inspired and stay on that path, I guess?
I've found networking has been a really great thing, and you're on this island, and it's 1 degree of separation of knowing someone, but just be willing to help out somebody else, because then they'll be open to helping you out, and just networking. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. I do the maintenance, janitorial, fish feeding, dog walking, event coordinating, everything to do in that building there, and it gets challenging at times. But I know it's got to be done, Also, like, when it comes to events, it's never, there's a coordinator. There is a person that's where everybody goes to ask the things. But it always takes more than just you. It always takes more than just you. It takes a team of people working hard together. Let that vision grow organically. Don't be set on your vision that it has to go that way. And expect people to help out, and let it organically take shape. Let the thing meld itself. Let people use their superpowers and commend them, and let it be known. That's one of the things we're going to do with the ball too, is just, it's a team of people. Here's that team. Here are the people that have worked their asses off to do this, because it's going to be a lot once we get closer. We're having a work day and a field day each month, and then it's going to be more frequently after that. But yeah, network, work hard, and let things happen organically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Becky, we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks.
It's been fun. We got through it. I told you we could do it.
I know, it was a little weird in the beginning.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to see you too. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing what you're doing for local artists too. And
Yes.
Not even just local artists, but for artists all over. It's just this interview. There's so much work that goes into it after this, and just what you've learned. We were talking about before, like the questions and everything like that. You're an easy person, and you've got a good voice too. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and sometimes the voice can just straight up just kill it for me, and I don't want to listen to it anymore. But it's like, you have a very smooth tone, and then you just come in with your delicate, little, beautiful, eloquent voice there, and
Thank you.
It's great.
Well, we try. This is definitely, I wanted to be a platform, to become a platform for people to get out their art and, talk about what they want to do. And honestly, it helps me out too. Just, staying inspired, because, you bring some artists in here, well, by the time this comes out, people have heard it, but, the episode with Evan and Shin, talking about martial arts, dude, I felt like such a wimp after that show, because just the kind of dedication these guys put into their martial art forms, and just their daily lives, just how much these guys do every day.
Yeah.
And just talking about like winning and losing and just being in these fights there, and I'm sitting here like, oh man, I was like, everything I'm complaining about really doesn't feel like anything now. Like, I was like, that's gnarly. Like, I'm blessed. Like, well, it's scary. Like, these guys, I don't know.
It's the perspective of self-discipline.
Yes, the self-discipline. Yes, that's scary too. A lot of people are afraid to do that.
Well, because people don't really want to be hard on themselves. They don't want to have to tell themselves no for this or that reason. You always notice it takes a justifiable cause for someone to really say, no, I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't have that because it's bad for my health. Mm-hmm. But no one ever really says no for the sake of, I'm saying no because I want to condition myself to be better off without whatever object A, B, or C it is. Yeah. And I think in today, that just shows grit more than it would have in the past, because we're an entitled generation. We like things to be handed to us. We like things to be in our hand. Often you'll see people throwing fits when it's not given to them immediately. I mean, what does it really say if someone doesn't say no? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And that's why, also being in the art field, especially for what you gotta do, you juggle so many things. I mean, finding finding self-discipline is very important.
Oh yeah, and it's hard too sometimes. Living above a bar that I'm an owner of, and having so many friends that live in the building that I want to genuinely spend time with, but it's like, I like my day to start at 7 a.m. I like to be on my feet and running by 7:30.
Not wasting your time.
I'm more productive then. And sometimes, you just got to put your earplugs in because they're always right underneath my window there. And it's hard though, because it's so tempting, but again, work hard and,
Absolutely.
it's yeah.
Well, besides proletariat.com and also proletariat on Instagram, where could we? There's a page for NHAL, yeah.
There's artspace.org is where the website is. I mean, we've got a pretty active Facebook. And then we have Instagram. I've been doing really bad in the last year about updating Instagram. I have 10 Facebook pages now. It's just too much.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But then we'll have misfitsball.com will go live on April 1st. Kevin Thompson is the wizard behind that because creating all of that is a lot of work and it's just really magic to me. I don't know how that work happens, but
Dude,
Kevin does it.
Kevin's a workhorse, man. He'll do it.
Dude, Kevin is a badass and tech. He just knows he can do anything on the computer.
Dude, he's like a walking encyclopedia.
That too. Yeah,
like
yeah.
He's just like he'd be like, wait, what book was it in? Oh, no. Turn to page 74, fifth line down. It's like somewhere in that region.
And so much different information, like how he holds all of that. I'm just amazed. He knows so much about so many things.
Yeah, dude. Kevin's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, please go check out proletariat.com, artspace.org. Come down to Art Walk every 6 weeks. When's the next one come? I know one just happened. So.
April 18th, and our featured artist is going to be Justin Lopez.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
Awesome.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out Justin Lopez. He's been on an episode. I think that's like episode 10. I'm not sure. There's a lot of episodes now. Everybody can go look. Type in Justin Lopez.
I think everyone knows his gorgeous, amazing wife, Emily Lopez.
Yes. His wife, Emily Lopez, she's been on many, if not probably about 90% of the poetry episodes.
Many great conversations.
Yes,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Justin just sent some snippets of what he's working on the other day. I'm going to go do a studio visit next week. I'm super stoked. It's
Sweet.
good. It's real good. Yeah.
That's awesome. We look forward to it. Well, everybody, April 18th, be here.
Or be
for the
square.
next or be square. All right, Steph, Becky, I appreciate it, y'all.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peace out, y'all.
Artist in Depth Podcast. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe. Stay tuned for the YouTube channel coming soon when I get around to it. I know I've been saying that for a long time, but I know y'all have faith in me, so it's okay. And just tell your friends, come to Galveston, support the local scene. Don't ask your artist friends for free stuff. Buy their things. Support them.
Yeah.
All right. Love y'all. We out. You've been listening to the Artist in Depth Podcast, motivating creative minds through artistic exploration. If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to give us a rating or a positive review. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at vonpatrickarts@gmail.com. That is VONPATRICK@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you.